Hi, I'm Carl Weathers, and you're watching Movies, Games, and Tech.
So, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us who you are for those three people who don't know who you are?
I am Carl Weathers, and part of the reason I'm here is because we're talking about Chicago Justice, the new show that I'm doing.
So, tell us a little bit about the show.
Well, the show is fantastic, first of all. We've gotten enough people who are really loving it, which is really great. It is a courtroom drama for the most part. But of course, we have this wonderful family of lawyers and investigators who give you a lot of behind-the-scenes drama. My character is Mark Jeffries. He is the state's attorney in Cook County, Chicago, Illinois, is where we are seated. And he's a bit of a politician because in Chicago, in order to be a state's attorney in Cook County, you have to be elected as opposed to appointed. So it makes for a guy who is not only trying to do the right thing by the law, but also is always looking over his shoulder because there's someone who might want to run for his office.
What interested you about the character and about the show?
Well, first of all, the show is really well written. And when I read the first script, this character was executed in a way that really appealed to me. And of course, we are very fortunate that, I am very fortunate for certain, that the great Dick Wolf produces this show, and his shows have not only done really well and are produced extremely well, but longevity has been there. So there are so many reasons, to have wanted to do it, and as it's turned out, we have a wonderful cast. It's kind of if you're going to work in television, it's nice to be with a group that you really enjoy being with, and this group I have a good time with.
And you're no stranger to television. You've been doing television for a number of years.
Television movies, I've been around for a while now.
I'd heard you'd done some films.
Yeah, just a few.
Just a few.
A few that I think some people remember.
Let me see if I can think of any. Think of any off the top of your head?
Well, there was a film, Andrew, a number of years ago called Rocky.
I thought you were going to say Happy Gilmore.
Well, Happy Gilmore, of course. But that's more recent. But I'll give you really one of those throwback titles. Force 10 from Navarone. Classic with the great Edward Fox and Robert Shaw and Harrison Ford and Richard Kiel and Barbara Bach and so many wonderful British actors and European actors, and there I luckily wound up in that group, But then we have Predator.
Classic again.
Men with muscles running through the jungles of Mexico. There have been a few.
So obviously you mentioned Rocky, and
yes, I did because you were just priming the pump, waiting for me to do so.
Everyone's going to ask you about Rocky.
Of course.
Did you ever think when you started making that film how popular it was going to be and how iconic it was going to be?
Oh, I thought it was going to be the best film ever made. I thought it was going to be the film that we'd all be talking about 40 years later. Of course not. Come on. How would I know that? No, I thought it was going to be a good film. I thought it was going to be successful, but as the line goes, who would have thunk it? 40 years later, here we are, and the fact that people still like it as much as they do, and that it's as popular and has remained so, and is on television. If you tune in almost any time of day, someplace in the world, you can see Rocky over and over and over. It's on a loop, We're very fortunate that we're all young actors, all except Burgess Meredith, the great Buzzy, who's no longer with us, but wow, being in the right place at the right time with the right words to say and creating something that, sticks in people's memories. It's pretty spectacular.
So would you say that has been your favorite film experience?
Oh, no way. couldn't be my favorite right now is Chicago Justice because it's the one I'm involved in.
How
So,
coincidental.
that's right. Your favorite is, that's like saying I'm going out on a date and you're with a beautiful woman and she says, to you, you're having a great time, and you say, no, the great time I had was 3 women ago that I dated. No.
Probably not a good move.
Not a good way to start the evening. No, it's a good memory and a fond memory, and a lot of wonderful people that I got a chance to work with. So it's up there in terms of memorable experiences.
And going back to the television side, obviously, again, you've done quite a lot of TV over the years.
Yeah.
Go back to the 90s. I was actually a huge fan of Street Justice.
Street Justice, yes. We had a couple of years of a good run, and I actually enjoyed that. It was a really tough show to do because it was a very physical show, and we only did that show. Boy, I tell you, we shot that show in 6 days. Each episode was done in 6 days, and about 20 of those, and they could point you in any direction, northeast, south, or west, and you just like a zombie just go in that direction. You don't question anything because you're so physically beaten and mentally beaten. But it was a good experience all around.
And when you actually do a role, either TV or film, how much preparation do you do? Do you sort of really immerse yourself in it? So let's say, for example, Predator.
Yeah.
Were you out shooting guns in a jungle?
Well, we did actually. For Predator, we had to do a kind of prepping. We had a great guy to take us out into the jungles and try to get us, it was like herding cats, of course, but to try to get us to behave as, real military personnel would behave. A wonderful guy named Gary Goldman who was in the military. But, with film, it's a bit different because you have time and you have prep time prior to, as well as page count per day that you're shooting is so far less. With television, you've got, let's say, the same amount of time that it would take you to shoot maybe, I don't know, 3 days of work in movies. You've shot an entire an entire television series in those 3 days. So it's pretty grueling in some ways, because we shoot these shows and we shoot these shows in 8 days most of the time. And as you see, there's an awful lot that's going on screen for that 42 plus minutes that we're actually broadcasting the show and not just the commercials. So it's in answer to your question, this is a long-winded way of getting to it, but you don't really have a lot of prep time. It would be wonderful to have more. We really are doing our best to make the day, make the schedule, finish the show, be on time, do those things, and try to deliver really great work while we're doing that.
If you weren't an actor, what would you be doing?
I've been asked that question so many times. The only answer I have, which is probably the real answer, is I'd be working at trying to be an actor.
Fair enough.
I really enjoy what I do, and I also direct. And so, if it was that I couldn't be an actor, no matter how hard I tried, directing would not be my fallback position, but be the position that I'd absolutely love to embrace.
Are you going to be directing any episodes of Chicago Justice?
I don't know. It's a little early in the game to talk about directing the show. We're really just getting our feet under us and trying to do our best to do a great show. So, if the opportunity comes up, I will embrace it.
Have you got anything else lined up this year that you can talk about?
We just finished the show about a month ago. And more than anything, it's trying to get back to just dealing with your personal life, because we shoot in Chicago. So we're ensconced there. We were since last July, which means, I leave my house. I leave all the things that are normally things that I take care of. And when I get back, they're still waiting. So I didn't set anything to do this year. If we are fortunate enough to have a second year in this, a second season, then it'd be great to plan ahead, But I've really been focused on and pretty much tunnel vision since we started this show.
And lastly, why should people watch Chicago Justice?
Well, Andrew, because we say so.
That's a good enough reason.
Watch Chicago Justice because we say so. Why should you? Well, I don't know about the shoulds, but I think it's a really entertaining show. I think we tell really great stories, and we do stories that are really, the old line is ripped from the headlines. Well, they are ripped from the headlines in a way, but they are dramatized in a very interesting, I think anyway, interesting and at times gripping manner. We have really good actors on the show. Philip Winchester, John Seda, Monica Barbaro, and Joelle Carter, myself, the lead cast, and everybody's really interesting and has interesting stories as their characters. And so between the drama of the cases that we try weekly, there's the drama of the people that we are behind the scenes, interacting and sometimes in a bit of turmoil or in a bit of conflict with each other. But the show is a really great show. And so I suggest you watch to enjoy yourself.
Carl, thank you very much for your time today.
My pleasure, Andrew. Thank you.